What's going on, YouTube? So right before we get started, there's two things I want my audience to know, and that is number one, I'm an Aputure reviewer, user, lover, whatever you can think of. I use nothing but Aputure products on this channel, so there you go. And number two, Godox, they did reach out to me for this evaluation of their LITEMONS 200 LA200D light. It's a COB light just like the Amaran 200D. So with all that said, let's begin. So the Amaran versus the LITEMONS, here is the box comparison. Definitely the LITEMONS is quite smaller than the Amaran. However, you will notice that the Amaran comes with a handle, whereas the LITEMONS, you don't get any handle, but it's a smaller package than the Amaran. And also price difference, definitely right now the LITEMONS is on sale for $239, but normal price is $300 and the Amaran is $300. So there we go. Also, this is a 230 watt light, whereas this Amaran is a 200 watt light. So keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to size, the LITEMONS weighs about 3,404 grams, whereas the Amaran weighs about 3,504 grams. So definitely it's a smaller package, smaller shipping rate right there. So there you go. Now a side note, my Amaran 200D light is brand new, straight from the factory, whereas the LITEMONS, it's a test unit. This has been used several times before it came to my hands. So just want to let you guys know about that. Now, in the Amaran box, you get a nice cushion. You get the nice soft cushion, which is very pleasant. I actually prefer this cushion than the LITEMONS because it's a styrofoam and it's a little squeaky. And we all know what styrofoam sounds like, so I won't show you guys, I'll let you guys hear the audio for that. Now, in the box, you get plastics with your LITEMONS lights. You get plastic around the cables, the wires, the light, whereas the Amaran, you don't get none of that. As you can see, it's just all naked. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I know some people out there may prefer the plastic if they're traveling a lot more, if they're shipping this left to right. Actually, if you think about it, if you're shipping your lights a lot, definitely the LITEMONS package is better because of the shipping rates. Now, shipping rates only matters to those individuals that ship their equipment left to right. So if you're shipping a lot, the LITEMONS might be a cheaper deal because obviously the Amaran is a lot heavier. So there you go. Now let's compare the actual individual sizes. The LITEMONS weighs about 1,518 grams, whereas the Amaran weighs about 1,636 grams. And the cables of the LITEMONS weighs about 1,237 grams, whereas the Amaran weighs about 958 grams. And here's the attachment for the LITEMONS, and it weighs about 163 grams, whereas the Amaran weighs about 215 grams. Now both brands, they do have their own app for the lights, so you can control the light from your smartphone, which is really convenient. Here's me adding a light onto the app and I'm running into issues, and the way you fix that is turn on the Bluetooth and hold the Bluetooth button on the actual unit right here. And once you do that, it should appear on the list and just add it on. And it's very straightforward, very simple. I didn't see any difference between either brands. However, once I start using the special effects, I did see slight differences. The Godox is well laid out, whereas the Amaran, you need to scroll left and right to find the special effects you want. I prefer the Godox layout because it's just straightforward, it's right in front of you, and it's less time consuming than the Amaran. And also, the Godox, they have a feature that Amaran doesn't, and that is the actual manual switch for these special effects. If you're working in groups, this might be really helpful for those folks out there because you don't need an app to access any of the features. Just use the actual buttons on the actual light. That is a godsend because for the Amaran lights, you need your smartphone, and if you have no battery on your smartphone, that's it. You can't even access your light. So this is a good feature on the Godox. So good job, Godox. That's something that I wish the Amaran had, but for some reason, it's very smartphone centric. So there you go. Now, in this next test, I'll be testing out the heat from the power brick on both units. You got my timer there, the room temperature there, and also we'll be shooting at 100% on the light for both units. So you can pretty much see the difference when it comes to actual temps on these bricks. And here's 15 minutes right here. I'm going to show you guys the middle temperature of the power brick. You guys feel free to look at the temperature all around the power brick, but looking at the first 15 minutes, it looks like the Godox is a tad cooler than the Amaran. Now at 30 minutes, the Godox seems to be slightly cooler than the Amaran. And by the way, at the bottom of the power brick, that's where things are a lot cooler. Seems like the top portion of the power brick is where the heat comes from. And here is 45 minutes. And as you can see, the Amaran is 134 Fahrenheit, whereas the Godox is 127. So with that said, the Amaran is getting hotter than the Godox. And that's frightening at this point, because at 60 minutes, the Amaran hits about 141 Fahrenheit, whereas the Godox hits about 131. So at this point, 141, it's really hot. This is definitely a warning. A lot of 141 degrees warning comes from like overheating, and this is definitely one of them right there. So Amaran, after 1 hour at full capacity, I think you should just turn off your light. Whereas the Godox, this is 90 minutes right here, and it's 135. So yeah, that's pretty crazy if you think about it, because I mean, that means when you're filming and you're doing an interview, you must shut off your light on the Amaran at some point, whereas the Godox, you could film a lot longer than the Amaran without shutting it down. So that is pretty cool. Now, for the actual unit, the light unit, I'm happy to say that throughout 15 minutes all the way to 60 minutes, the temps were relatively low. Yeah, it was not super hot anywhere. So good job on both lights. They're able to keep it cool when it's turned on at 100%. And as for the next test, it's a sound test, and here is what the fan sounds like after 1 hour of usage at 100%. And as you can clearly see, Godox or Amaran, they're more or less the same. So in terms of fan noise, they're basically the same. So that is pretty good on both units. Now for the next test, this is the brightness test. And at 10%, the Godox is brighter than the Amaran. At 20, story remains the same. At 30, the story remains the same. At 40, remains the same. And here is 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Now for this next test, we are looking at the wattage usage at 10%. Here is 20%. This is 30%. Here is 40%. 50%. 60%. 70%. 80%. 90%. 100%. So just wrap things up, the Aputure versus the Godox, the Amaran versus the LITEMONS. Which light did better in the test? It had to be the Godox. The Godox did the best. It was just, there was nothing in the test that screamed out Aputure or Amaran. It was all Godox. I mean, Godox is power efficient, as you saw. Godox is a lot powerful than the Amaran, as you saw. the power brick on the Godox is a lot cooler than the Amaran. I mean, the Amaran with the power brick, you need to shut off your light. What that means is you cannot shoot long form videos such as interviews, live streams, or long YouTube videos because the power brick on the Amaran is going to eventually malfunction down the road because at 140 Fahrenheit, that is pretty hot. That is hot enough to extract oil from seeds. That's just very, yeah, it's danger mode. And if you're going to be on the peak at your career and you need a light on set and you have this light, you might end up having some flickering during your interviews. So just keep that in mind. That's just mind blowing. You think about it for the long-term usage. Yeah, it's a hazard, right? So there you go. Now for the special effects portion, the LITEMONS offers a manual switch to control the special effects, whereas the Amaran, it's a smartphone centric light, which sucks. But let's just say if you don't have a smartphone and you're kind of like, you know, SOL, your special effects is SOL, your film is SOL. So there you go. That's not good. I wish they had that on the Amaran. So, yep. Let's talk about some negatives on the Godox because right now, so far, it has nothing but negatives on the Amaran. The worst thing about the Godox throughout my test is the styrofoam. That styrofoam is so annoying. It's the styrofoam you get from your TV, and that's it. And also maybe add a handle to your box, but that's just negligible right there. So it's not a big deal, but it is something I want to bring up. It's just, yeah, I know it's kind of weird. We're talking about the light and now we're talking about styrofoams. What in the world? But anyways, I know a lot of people are going to ask me this question, so I'm just going to answer it right now. If you are an Aputure owner right now, should you start switching over to the Godox? And my answer to you guys is no, not yet. Because like Aputure does on a yearly basis, they always release a version 2 that will fix all the issues. So we're just gonna spend more money to fix the same problem. But these companies out there, just, you know, they're thinking ahead than Aputure, it seems, and it's really heartbreaking to see that, especially as a owner, user, reviewer of the Amaran and the Aputure lights. So yeah, but good job to Godox, and thank you for sending this over. This definitely changes my mind about the brand because actually, you know what? This is my first ever Godox light product or Godox product ever. So if anyone out there is asking about Godox product, I cannot talk about their product except this one right here, the LITEMONS series. This one right here is the one to get. I don't know anything about their other products that they're releasing because I never tested them out. So with all that in mind, thank you guys for checking back. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely click like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out the merch store. And yep, I guess I'll see you guys in the next one, all right? Take it easy. Peace.